What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Empty the Benches. Nick and Mac here once again to chat some puck with you guys. But before we get into hockey, Mac, I know you and I have just gone through one of our favorite weekends of the year, and that is the first weekend of March Madness. I had a ton of fun with this one. It seems like it has been just a crazy tournament. I feel like last year we kind of got into this like weird, oh shit, is it going to be like a really chalky tournament this year? But absolutely not this season. So, pumped to have that happen. That's been fantastic. What was your setup like for basketball this past week? Did you get any good games in? I know you were excited about that Wisconsin effort. That had to be fun for you.
Yeah, I was very excited to see the Badgers lose on the first day. Obviously, we had like a work potluck, so we got to watch a little bit of it at work on Friday, so that was fun. Had some food. We got a lot of good cooks in the office, so a lot of people brought in some good food. If in case you're wondering what I brought the soda.
I mean, or if you're from the area, the pop, right?
The pop. Yeah, I make a mean soda. So
do you?
Yeah, people liked it.
Nice. What'd you put in it? Just soda.
Yeah, just soda. Soda in the plastic 2-liter, and I put it on the counter real nice though, and it wasn't cold, but we've got ice, so yeah.
What are the potluck vibes there? Is there a little hot dish action going on, or is it more like a finger foods kind of thing?
This time it was actually it was less chalk, which I guess kind of goes with the tournament this year. But yeah, we had a Big Mac and cheese dish. That was great. And then somebody brought just like full on fixins for like just like cold cut sandwiches,
which that's awesome.
When I saw it on the like sign up sheet that someone just wrote like cold cuts, I wasn't sure if they meant like they were just going to bring like kind of like meat, like just like charcuterie style.
Sure.
But they brought like nice like rolls and like a big stack of like deli turkey and like some salami, like. So there was just like a sandwich station. I was all about that. That was great.
That's awesome. I feel like one of my biggest pet peeves with like any like work or corporate related lunch is inevitably that like awful sandwich and wrap tray you get where like all the sandwiches are just ass.
Yeah, they're like soggy and like gross.
Yeah, or they're like super bland and you're like, I feel like I'm eating saltines.
It's either dry as a bone or just swimming in mayo. And like I like mayo, but just like drowning in it. But no, it was good. So did that, and then obviously watched some at home over the weekend too. I feel like Sunday was a great March Madness evening.
Oh yeah,
I just sat on my couch by myself and rotted and watched some games. It was awesome.
No, that's fantastic. I caught some of the games in, just on my couch, which is honestly my favorite place to do March Madness. Get the two TVs going, just constantly bounce back and forth between games. Like I love that. It's one of my favorite things to do ever.
I do hate though. I was actually just talking to my mom about this. I hate that there's so much time in between. I get like giving them like a couple extra days off to travel to a new city and regroup and prepare for opponents and all that. But I don't feel like we need like almost a full week in between like those first two games. Just stagger it. Like just stagger it so that the team that played their last games on Saturday, can't they at least play like Tuesday or Wednesday? That's like it's just basketball, you guys. We're talking about basketball right now. Like
true,
these guys aren't even hitting each other. Let's be so honest here.
Yeah, I think this might be the hardest. Like this past Monday might be the hardest sports Monday of the year. I think it's so much worse than I saw the Pardon My Take guys talking about this than like the Monday after the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
where you're just like, oh crap, there's no more football. But I feel like and they nailed this to a T. They basically said like, I'm so used to watching basketball for 14 hours a day. And then I don't have anything to watch during the day. And I'm just like, what am I missing? Something feels like I left something at home. Like it's a weird vibe for sure.
It's a tough one. And then it didn't help that there was literally one NHL game and it was like not a good one either.
Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah.
I was shocked. So I went out Saturday in Baltimore. We went to Fells Point because it was gorgeous. Just to hang out, bop around to some of the local spots down there that my friends and I love. And I was shocked at how many bars didn't have these games on or looked at me like I had 9 heads when I asked the bartender to put these games on. And the first 3 games on Sunday, it's not like they're on True TV or, TNT or TBS. They're on like mainstream CBS. And like I remember going up to one of the bartenders, I was like, "Hey man, can you like throw the basketball game on?" And he was like, "Who's playing?" And my buddy just goes, "Everyone.
Jesus.
Everyone is playing right now."
Literally,
like,
yeah.
One of the bars we went to, we ended up going to Max's later on in the evening in Phil's, and they had college wrestling on.
Oh my God.
And like not on one TV, on like multiple TVs. And like I understand it was apparently the championship that weekend. Neat. But not what the crowd wants to see. We want to see basketball. So I was just shocked at how many people were oblivious to it. And then, like, I mean, you know how this is as a baseball fan and a Baltimore resident. Like, you go into, like, any kind of, like, divey bar, and there's just, like, 20 guys watching Orioles spring training while trying to also smoke inside the bar. And, like, I'm just like, dude, how can you care about baseball that's not real right now?
Yeah, that's fair. Wow. Ugh.
But great weekend, though, man.
Yeah, it was good. We'll have it back in a couple days here, so.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sparty plays Friday. They're coming to DC. I tried to get tickets, and then I saw the price, and I ran screaming because it's not pretty. But
I think what's talking.
$600 plus before Ticketmaster fees, and that's it's all because of the Duke fans. I mean, that's exactly what it is. But it's crazy. They're in the basketball tournament right now, and they're in the NCAA hockey tournament. Hockey plays Thursday night against UConn, and then Friday they play UConn in basketball. And I was thinking, I can't remember another time where 2 schools have been in this tournament or in both of these tournaments at the same time and played each other back to back like that.
Yeah, that's pretty unique. That could be it's probably not a first ever, but I would think it's
because you've got to have a school that's good enough at basketball to make the March Madness tournament, and then you have to be good enough at hockey to make the much smaller NCAA
which that
tournament.
in of itself is pretty unlikely.
You're thinking maybe like your Wisconsin could do it, Michigan could do it,
Michigan State,
maybe Minnesota, like if it's a first round game in
like
the basketball tournament.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, maybe, if it's a good basketball year for them. But like your BUs, BCs, they're probably not making that basketball tournament. So
rarely.
North Dakota, not going to happen. Sorry, guys.
No.
But it's wild.
Wasn't NDSU in round of 64 this year?
Well, it's North Dakota State.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And that's
as
a
Towson guy, we hate the Bison. So yeah, I can't have that. Thank you, Carson Wentz. But anyways, so do you have a question of the day for us before we get rolling here?
I do. I'll be quick about it because I know we haven't really even talked about hockey yet, but that's okay. I'm really passionate about this right now, and I'm going to use my platform here to discuss it. We need to have a serious conversation.
Oh boy.
About Subway, the sandwich shop.
Okay, not the method of transportation.
Correct.
Gotcha.
We can talk about that another time. I don't know if I should ask you the question or if I should just go on my just talk my shit.
Go with your gut. If you want to go, by all means go.
Okay, here's my hot take right now. I think the way our society treats Subway is kind of like how we all started treating Nickelback like maybe 5 to 10 years ago. Everyone, or maybe even, no, probably like 10 to 15 years ago. Remember when everyone just decided that Nickelback was like the worst band ever and it was really uncool to like any of their songs and it was like, that's like the worst band. Everyone just like agreed on that. Out of nowhere.
I think they were just easy to make fun of too because they were like so like, they really embodied that like early 2000s like Ed Hardy era kind of like Affliction t-shirt,
and so we all kind of went along with it because you're right, they were easy to make fun of. But then like it kind of came back around in the last like 5 years where people were like, I'm gonna be honest, you guys, like there's some good Nickelback songs and like there's actually even like kind of a lot of them. And then like slowly people were like, I actually like Creed too. And then like, this whole thing started coming back and now like everybody's queuing up Nickelback at like touch tunes at the bar and stuff like that. And I think Subway I don't know when it happened. Probably maybe around a similar timeline. Everyone just started like saying like Subway's gross. They have like the worst fucking like which obviously didn't help when they had their whole Jared scandal. That's
correct. Yeah,
like,
I mean, objectively, that was pretty
horrible,
gross. I think
obviously.
we can agree.
Yes,
yeah.
but like besides that, people just started saying the sandwiches are like terrible. It's like the worst sub chain. And I don't know. I think I just didn't have it for a while because I don't know about you, but I grew up eating it all the time, like hockey tournaments. It was like one of the easiest things to get on the way to hockey games and stuff like that.
Dude, I would, when I was doubling up swim practices after school, I would have like one with like my crazy coach and then one with like like my high school team. I would get one in between practices and just while I'm driving to the other pool down the hatch.
Well, dude, it's such a like youth sports staple. Because like when you've got like a hockey mom or a baseball mom like driving a couple kids to and from a game, it's like, well, we got to get something quick, but I feel better about feeding you this than like McDonald's or whatever, like that kind of thing. So I don't know. I feel like it was a staple for like kids who played sports growing up. I always
Do you think
it.
like we went off of it as like a society or as like a pop culture thing when they got rid of like the $5 footlong thing? Because they did drive that home. Like that was their thing for a while.
Could have something to do with it. I guess basically all this to say, I had Subway for the first time in like over a year, like a week ago. And I was like, holy shit, this smacks. And I have now had it like 4 times in the last 2 weeks, and I'm obsessed with it again. I think it's
interesting,
fucking awesome.
Because I do trust your sandwich judgment. You have good sandwich judgment because we've talked about this before. So what are you getting from the Subway that you're like, damn, this is good? Have you been like getting the same one, or are you like
just
shuffling
getting
the deck?
Old Reliable? I'm just getting the spicy Italian, and I'm loading it up with all the veggies that I want on there.
Hell yeah.
Big black olive guy, throw a bunch of those on there. Get me some cucumbers, maybe a couple banana peppers, little oil and vinegar, lettuce, boom. Also, we're toasting it, of course, before you put all the veggies on there.
I like that.
I don't know. I don't know if it just tastes like nostalgic to me or what. But I genuinely think it's better than Jimmy John's. I think it's better than I don't even know if a lot of people will know what Cousins Subs is. It's a huge thing out here. I think that place fucking blows. It's terrible. I don't know. I think it deserves to be right back up there with the Jersey Mikes and the Potbellies of the world. I think it's that good.
I haven't had Potbelly in. I feel like if there's not a Potbelly like within walking distance of your office, no one goes to Potbelly.
Which there is for mine.
Yeah, like there's always one that's like in a strip mall right near like an office complex or something.
Exactly.
But so is the Subway by you, is it like a good one? Because like for me, like
I've actually gone to 3 different Subways the last 3 times I've had it.
Wow.
Yeah. One was a gas station one that was objectively kind of a bad Subway.
Okay, well,
still a good sandwich.
All right.
The one I got today was top tier. I was like in like middle of nowhere, Illinois, on my way home from Indiana, and just like a standalone like store in like a shopping center.
Okay.
And that was a good Subway. I took one look at like the veggie situation.
Okay.
Every bin was like full of like brightly colored, ripe, fresh veggies. I was like,
hell yeah.
Oh, mama, let's go.
That's awesome, dude. So I feel like for me at least, part of the reason why Subway went on such a big decline is because I went to Towson. And as you know, if you've gone to the bars in Towson, Subway was where all the fights happened. Like I remember every year I was at Towson, someone got thrown through the front window of that Subway going up York Road towards like all the bars and stuff. And for my first year and a half there, that was kind of one of the only places that was open as the bars were letting out. So like a lot of people would go there. Everyone's hammered. Everyone's then inhaling a sandwich and puking on the walk home. So I think everyone kind of got tired of it that way.
Yeah.
And then I feel like
that makes sense.
When I was bartending, I would like get it every now and then on the way home. And I think the one in Towson, like a lot of, like the Burger King in Towson or the Popeyes in Towson, you're like, this is just such a poorly run facility that nothing they could have made in there would have been good. So I think that's what put me off to it, but I haven't been back since. So maybe I'll have to give it another
chance
go.
and let me know.
I am a big
I tweeted something about it and I got absolutely roasted.
Yeah, people really do love to hate it for some reason.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know when we decided, and I guarantee almost everyone who like flamed me hasn't had it in like years. So I implore you, if you're out there and you're hearing me and you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Subway sucks. Go get it. And if you still hate it, fine, whatever. But I think it's great.
It's funny you bring this up because I have like a dentist appointment like next week or something, and my dentist is right next to a Subway. So like one of the problems is when I'm sitting in the chair, it just smells like Subway in my dentist office.
And then they
hit you with the whole, oh, you can't eat or drink for 30 minutes afterwards, and I'm like, oh great, you know, I'll just go fuck myself. But no, that was a good one, dude. I guess I'll have to give it another go. I mean, you know, like where sandwiches, like if I can find an Italian deli, like Gemelli's in Germantown is probably my favorite closest to me. Di Pasquale's in Baltimore is my favorite in Maryland. Definitely will do a Jersey Mike's if I can find one. Yeah. There's one pretty close to me, so I'll have to see how it stacks up against those and give you my thoughts for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the hockey show, let's get back to talking about hockey. So things are really starting to heat up now where everyone's about 11, 12, 10-ish games away from the postseason here. So it's crazy. Like if you look at the standings as an entire list for the entire league, it does not make sense at all.
It's so confusing.
Thank you, Pacific Division, for just deciding to take the year off. I don't know if that's the most genius move I've ever seen or what, but let's start with the East playoff race first. So before we go any further, by the way, we do have a guest. Ryan Lott is joining us to talk about the Red Wings. So we'll save a little bit of the Red Wings chit chat for the middle portion of the episode. But starting with the wild card battle in the East, Bruins and Islanders currently have those spots as of the time of this recording. So, the Wings are now bumped out. Senators are bumped out. Flyers, I guess, are technically still in play. The Jackets have moved up to that third spot in the Met. It looks like, in my opinion, the Habs and the Bruins might trade spots here. I think if the Wings or the Sens get in, it'll be a wild card spot. I don't really think they're going for that third spot in the Atlantic with how that's going. But what are your thoughts on the East as a whole?
Well, I think it's safe to say Carolina's got the Metro top spot wrapped up. I honestly think Buffalo, it's their division to lose. It's
totally agree.
It's by no means is it wrapped, but they should be able to hang on there. And I would think Tampa will just finish second too. I think they'll finish 1 and 2 there and not move around. So the rest is up for grabs. Philly is interesting. I counted them out like a week ago.
Right.
They've been playing really good hockey, and they still have 2 less games played than like most teams. They've only played 69 games, and they're 5 points out. But I mean, if they win those next 2, then they're 1 point out, and they've played the same amount of games as the Islanders, who have that last spot.
Wow.
So they're kind of still in it if they keep playing as well as they are. And the day we're recording this, they've got a big game against the Jackets. There's so many big games today.
There really are. The Islanders have a huge one.
It's bad timing because by the time you guys are listening, we're not going to dwell too much on the matchups tonight just because, you guys already know by now what happened in all those. But holy moly, there's going to be a lot of movement tonight.
No, I totally agree. I think the other interesting thing with the Flyers is they could potentially get another boost here, although I really don't want them to for multiple reasons, and that is Porter Martone, because you would think as soon as his season is over, he's going to be playing for the Philadelphia Flyers, regardless of what that game is. I think, we all knew he was a one and done when he, committed to Sparty, and, it's been fantastic, and I would love to see him and them win a national championship, of course, but that player to me fits so well into what the Philadelphia Flyers are. It's basically what they've been looking for. So I think it'll be really cool to see, obviously I don't want the Flyers to do well, but what will happen, as soon as Sparty's season is over, when that may ever be. So they could definitely get a big boost there from him.
Let me ask you this. How do you give me your, and let's just say the Caps aren't making it because they're probably not, but give me your ideal list of 1 through 3 Metro, 1 through 3 Atlantic, and the 2 wild cards that make it, just based on like, I want to watch these teams in the playoffs and actually think that they like deserve to play and have a shot to like do something, you know.
So I'm fine right now with 1, 2, 3 in the Atlantic.
Buffalo, Tampa, Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, maybe swap Montreal and Detroit, and Montreal gets in a wild card, but I would still want them in there because I want to see postseason Bell Center.
Yep. Yeah, it was great last year.
Obviously, I would love for the Penguins to fall off the face of the earth and miss the postseason at the 11th hour. That would be the dream.
It would be funny.
So manifesting that, I'm fine with the Islanders getting in, and then
but that would have to mean, because I said no Caps, so that would have to mean that the Flyers get in,
right? So it's just a no free lunches situation for sure. And I really don't want the Bruins to make the playoffs either.
I don't either. They, to me, are the biggest, like, you're not doing anything team of like any of. I think like the Jackets have a better shot at winning a round than
totally
that Bruins team. I don't believe in that Bruins team whatsoever.
And I know we just mentioned Porter Martone, and I feel like it is worth mentioning that Hagens did just sign with the Bruins, although I don't know if he's necessarily as plug and play ready as a player like Martone is, just from a physicality standpoint. But I don't know. What about you? Where do you stand on that?
I'm pretty similar to you. I think, I don't know. I'm torn with the Pens because I mean, there is nothing funnier still than them like blowing it. That's obviously the best case scenario. But I also think it'd be kind of funny to like imagine like the Jackets hold on to that spot and somehow CBJ like sweeps the Penguins in the first round.
That would be awesome.
So I don't know, that could be fun. I also feel like the Islanders have a good chance at like smacking the Penguins if they meet in the in the postseason. I think I want Detroit in there. I'm kind of indifferent towards Ottawa because they got in last year and they were fun, but like I really want to see Detroit in there.
But like even if Ottawa gets in, they're a one and done, right? Like they're not making that much noise. I would
think so. There's Sens fans in the comments of like every major like NHL like post on Instagram lately being like, if we get in, we could make some noise. And I'm like, I don't think
like they're annoying to play against. I just don't see them built for a long-term run here.
I don't know who they think they're gonna beat. Like,
I also think that's like a little bit
they would be playing
ballsy to say when you're like 5 spots out of the postseason.
It is, but even if they got in, they'd be playing either like Carolina, Buffalo, or like Tampa. I don't think they're beating any of those teams.
I genuinely think Tampa blanks them 4 games up down.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so. So I don't know. It's a mess in the East, but it's interesting. Should we move over to the West?
Yeah, let's go to the West. So, like, the good news is it's just the exact same size mess over here, just a complete different kind of mess where you've got one division that's so far ahead of everyone else and another that basically decided to not play hockey this season. But I'm still blown away, and I know I texted this to the group chat the other day, but like, how the hell are the Nashville Predators in a playoff spot?
Yeah, it's weird. They got hot recently. I think they've won like maybe 7 of their last 10-ish or something like that. I think they've won 3 or 4 in a row now too, but
they have.
They also guys like Luke Evangelista have been so good and nobody's fucking talking about it. Like he immediately has made an impact in Nashville, and he's not even like remotely a household name in the league because I just don't think anybody watches the Preds unless you're like a Preds fan.
No, if you're a Canadian, you might remember him from his London Knights days where, I mean, he was unbelievable. But like, this team has a minus 23 goal differential. There's no other team even in a playoff position, I think, that's either in the negatives there, or if they are, it's like minus 3 or something.
Yeah, that is actually wild. Anaheim's minus 7, but besides that, no one else is minus anything at all.
Yeah, so that's wild to me. I mean, I guess you can attribute that to, some of it being a wild card spot and the Kings just completely going to hell midway through the season here. But
also, now that I'm looking at it, any of the other West teams that could make it instead of the Preds have a worse goal differential. So, I mean, I don't... Well, I guess the Kraken technically don't, but
yeah, Yeah, still. I mean, I don't know what the best case scenario here. We've known what 1, 2, 3 in the Central is going to be for about 3 months now.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Pacific, it was just a question of who was going to, I think, take the top spot. That's the most important thing. And it's crazy to me that, the Ducks are having a great season, and I think at the beginning of the year we were like, these guys could sneak in. But the fact that they're going to go in,
Yeah.
right now in that one spot in the Pacific, to me is wild. I mean, Vegas at Edmonton, I'm just a little bit surprised that there wasn't a bigger push there.
It's very odd. Yeah, I kind of feel the way I do. Well, okay, let me ask you this. How do you feel about the Kraken? Do you think that that's a team that could get in and make noise?
I said at the December point of this season, I thought they were overachieving. And I think a couple episodes ago when we were talking about who's in a playoff spot, I still thought they were overachieving. I feel like where they are in the standings right now is exactly what I expected for them going into this year.
I would agree. I think that this year they've proved that they've got a little more like exciting hockey than had previously meets the eye or whatever, but like not by much. And I don't think that they would. I don't know. I kind of see them as like the Boston over here, where it's like I don't really want them to make it just because I don't see it being that interesting or competitive.
I agree.
I do think Nashville could actually. I kind of want to see that team in the postseason because, like 2 years ago, when they loaded up and got Stamkos and Marchessault and all these guys, we all were like, "Holy shit, this team could like go on a run," and then they failed miserably, didn't even come close to making the playoffs. But we haven't seen that version of the Predators in the playoffs, and we know guys like Stamkos and Marchessault know how to play postseason hockey. So I think if that team sneaks in, they could be sneaky dangerous. We know they have the goaltending.
Yep.
We know they've got the D. They've got some young studs like Evangelista, but they've got the veteran playoff heroic guys like Stammer and Marchie. So I don't know. I think they could be a kind of sleeper fun team to sneak in.
That's a good point. I think their goaltending puts them in a better position than a lot of other teams in that Western Conference.
Absolutely.
Let's take a quick break to talk about some DraftKings, and then once we do that, we will send you guys over to our chat with Ryan Lott.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers, bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded is non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
And it's now my pleasure to welcome Ryan Lott to the podcast. Ryan, you are the producer of the Athletes podcast at Cook Stark Management. We've had Dave on the show as well, so good friend of ours. I know we got a chance to connect on that Penn State trip. That was a ton of fun. I had a blast hanging out and chatting puck with you, so it is good to see you again, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, so you're a huge Wings guy. That was made very apparent on that trip. So what are the vibes right now for Wings fans? Because I know it seems like it's, one day you're 1 foot in and then the next day you're 1 foot out. So where do things stand in the mind of a Wings fan right now?
You know what? Okay, I'm usually more on the optimistic side of things. I'm usually pretty positive. I take cautiously optimistic. We've been hurt before. Over the past few years. I mean, especially I guess at the hands of your Capitals a couple of years ago. But I'd say cautiously optimistic. Tonight's going to decide a lot, I think. Okay. Big game against the Sens. Basically, if they win, they leapfrog or win in regulation. They're 1 point back. But I think outside of that, there's a lot of manageable points down the stretch. I say that lightly. Like there's not a lot of easy points, but I find there's some winnable games, and they just kind of got to get another game. They tonight against Ottawa, get that win. They beat Montreal a little bit ago, and then they had a tough one against Boston on the weekend. So it's just a matter of getting it done tonight and then rolling in down the stretch.
Yeah. So out of all their guys, I know you and I talked about, how underrated Dylan Larkin is, and that was before the Olympics. I think even after the Olympics, his stock has gone up. But just, whether it's him or some of the other guys, like who do you think is the key, the X factor, the guy they need to just, get them over this last little push here and get them into the playoffs?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely Larkin. So he's been hurt since the 6th.
Right.
And that's been real tough for him. He went down and Andrew Kopp went down. And I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, Andrew Kopp, whatever. But he was a really good 2C for them this year. He's been like, if you check his stats, he's sitting at, I think, over a half a point per game. He's been a really good stabilizer for Kane and DeBrincat. And that line's been able to just go off with him there. And so when he went down, and it was like, the game after Larkin went down, it was like, oh my God, we've got nothing. Like, and then I think a game later, Rasmussen went down, and he's a center. And then you go, okay, well, we'll call up a couple of our young guys. Well, their top 2 center prospects are also hurt, so it's been a bit of weather in the storm. But with him back, he's going to need to really kind of take lead on the forward front here. A lot of their goals come through him, whether it's playmaking from the power play on the bumper. So it's going to be a lot on him. Lucas Raymond seems like he's battling a bit of an injury, but he's going to need to step up too. He's kind of their guy. And then I think it kind of Seider's been consistent all year. Obviously, he's that guy, and he's continued to be that. But again, what I think it comes down to is Jon Gibson as well. He's been legit for a long time, and he's going to have to be legit for 12 more games. He's going to have to really lock in and kind of help them get through there.
Have they said what the Larkin thing is? Was it like a leg or something?
Yeah, so I was watching the game. It was against Florida, and it's just a super awkward. It was a non-contact injury where I don't know if he caught a rut and his leg just kind of pushed out. I'm actually surprised he's back as fast as he was, because it didn't look good. But I think it was definitely a knee thing.
What's a guy like this Sheldon Dree's been like in the lineup so far? I saw him in his first game the other day. So what have you been seeing from him? Are you impressed at all with what you've seen so far?
Yeah, so Dries, from what I know, is a bit of a journeyman. I know he's played in Vancouver, in the NHL, as well as Colorado. He's kind of been up and down, and he's been with the Wings for I think this is his second year in their system, and he didn't get any games last year. I know he was kind of maybe up and down a bit, but he didn't get any games. But I haven't minded him. I know there's been a couple games he's put in a couple. There's been maybe 5-minute games or whatever. But I think there was a moment against Tampa where I was watching. I went, wow, what a defensive stick from Dries, which, you're not really expecting from a guy who's, coming up as like a 5th option at center. But I think he's come in and the effort's there, absolutely, which is absolutely something they need. And him and the other one I'll touch on there is Dominic Shine. I don't know if you ever heard of that guy either, but that guy rocks. I'm a big fan of him too, and the two of them have had to come up and play some games, and they've been pretty great. So for what they've been asked to do, no complaints.
The ability to call guys up like that. I mean, Grand Rapids is such a great program, and oh my God, are they so loaded this year? The Caps have had that with Hershey for so long, but
so good.
A guy that Mac and I got to see just torch our Capitals earlier this year was John Leonard. Do you think we're going to get a John Leonard playoff cameo here?
I say it I kind of hope not, just because I hope for health. I hope for health, but that is nothing against John Leonard. I've generally, even the games he's played with the Wings, I've been really impressed. I didn't know a ton about him outside of him being Ryan Leonard's brother going into the season, but he just started lighting it up when he came up, or when he got to Grand Rapids, and I think he had a couple. I know he scored against the Caps, and I think it was in December. And I like him out there every time he's out there. He played a bit when the Wings really had there was 4 or 5 forward injuries. He played a few games, and I can't remember exactly which game it was, but he had a crossbar. He's, even at the NHL level, if you get him out there on a PP2, he's a dangerous guy. And it's always good to have when you have a bottom sixer go down. It's okay, well, we can call up a guy and he might score goals, and that's always fun to have.
Back to the Gibson thing, because I know it's been kind of a weird year. Like, you guys start with a new goalie, and I think the first week or so was a little bit like, holy shit, same shit, different guy. And then ever since then, he's like totally been great for the whole year. I think he maybe had a little bit of health issue, but nothing too long on the IR. But how do you guys feel about him? Mostly feel pretty confident in him.
I've been a big fan. I was really pumped when we traded for him. I've been, they've kind of needed a guy to be a one. They've had a lot over the years of like Alex Lyon, Cam Talbot,
Husso,
James Reimer, Ville Husso, Alex Nedeljkovic tandems that they can be good for a little bit in spurts, but they're not
streaky kind of backup guys. Yeah,
exactly. But none of them are the guy, and none of them are going to be down the stretch. Are going to be the guy that's going to get you there, right? When you need those games, you need those wins. They were never going to be that guy. And so when the Wings made that trade, and I didn't really feel like they gave up that much. Like, I think it was a second round pick, and like Mrazek. I was pretty pumped. And yeah, he had a tough start. There was a tough first game. I remember night one against Montreal, he kind of got shelled and yanked, and he struggled for about a month. But then all of a sudden it was like, or maybe a month and a half, and December 1st hit, and for whatever reason he was just the guy from there on out, and he has been their rock. They have needed him, especially with a pretty young blue line. Axel Sandin Pellikka just went down, but to Grand Rapids, but like, outside of before the Falk trade and outside of Ben Sherratt, unless Hamnick was in, they had 5 guys 25 or under on a blue line. And so and don't get me wrong, like the Siders Edvinson pairing has been incredible, but it's tough for a goalie, I'm sure, to navigate a blue line that young and inexperienced. And so he's been,
especially when he's been in the league so long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it feels like a lot of that's been, I mean, he had a lot of that in Anaheim too. And he had some tough years with that. And I don't even blame him. So it's been good to see. He has been unbelievable, and it's fun to watch.
I'm glad to hear that you think that trade was a good move, because Mac and I have been getting shit from Red Wings Twitter for like 2 years, 3 years now, because we've been saying, like, go get a goalie.
Yeah.
Like what they had been working with was not what was going to get them over the hump.
Yeah, and I always felt like this was this perfect transition because he's got one more year. Right. And they've got Sebastian Cossa in the AHL. And he's going to, I'm almost positive he's going to make the jump next year.
Yeah.
Cam Talbot's
like
contract.
Yeah, got
Cam
that
Talbot's
other guy coming too.
Yeah, Trey Augustine, he's a stud. Oh my God. But they've got Talbot's contract's done after this year, and Kossa's been unbelievable in the AHL this year. And so then you've got Gibson that he's proved this year that he can play like 50 games or 55 games. And when you get that, and then you can have Cossa come up and not need to play a 40-game workload. You can have him kind of play some easier games, ease them in. And then you got Augustine coming up after that. It allows a little bit of flexibility. I mean, I can throw some more names. Like, the Wings are pretty lucky on the goaltending pipeline. They've got like this kid, Rudy Gamond, who I think is one of the best goalies in the queue. Michael Pradell just got drafted this past year. He's been really good. He had a really good Olympics for World Juniors for Slovakia. Even this Michael Postava guy they've got in the AHL. They pulled him out of the Czech league last year. Didn't even draft him, just free agent. And he's had a really good year in Grand Rapids as well.
Edmonton Oilers, take notes. What are you guys doing? It's possible. Yeah,
that's a great problem to have, though.
Exactly.
Isn't Cossa like massive?
Oh, he's a giant. I think he's 6'6", maybe more than that.
He's Ryan. I live in Milwaukee. I go to a lot of Milwaukee Admirals games every year, and so I've seen him. We play the Rapids or the Griffins all the time. And earlier this year, I was at a game. The Admirals have been fighting so much this year. Cossa was like in the mix. It was like the end of a period, and so he was like crossing to go to the locker room. There's like a big scrum, and he got right in there. And I was like, I had pretty good seats that night, and I was like, holy shit, that is a big boy.
He's huge.
I would not want that guy coming in with the blocker.
No, he's a competitor. He is. He's a bit of a rare kind of thing where you got to work on his. I'm not a big goalie guy. I'm not going to pretend like I know a ton about goalies, because that's a little voodoo. But from what I know about him, he's a freak athlete, and he's huge. So like his problems get to be when like he's just so strong on pushes that like he can push himself out of position just because of how big he is. But I think he's been dialing that in from what I can tell, and yeah, he is a competitor, and I'm pretty pumped. We've got this guy that hopefully next year he can come up and do some damage.
What have your thoughts been on JVR and just what he's brought to the lineup? I know that's been that was a hot button one when they made that move.
It was, and it was such a sneaky, like, I think he's on a 1-by-1, like,
I think you're right.
but he has been awesome. Like he plays in bottom 6 minutes, and like you get what you kind of expect from him in terms of like defensive and transition play. Like he's he's slow, but man, can that guy put a puck in the net? He has scored at an insane rate, especially in the minutes he's been given. He's been really good on, like, he's spent time in the first power play unit, and I thought he was incredibly effective there. And even on the second unit, when he's not on the first, he's still putting pucks in the net, which is a problem the Wings have had in the past. And
can't hurt to have a guy like that in the locker room too.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm sure. Like the Wings had just traded Elmer Soderblom at the deadline, but before that, I was like sit next to JVR every day in the locker room and just learn how to be that guy, and you will have success, because that's like he's been fantastic, and the Wings do lack some depth scoring, and so he's been a revelation in that aspect.
That's so true. The Atlantic itself has kind of just been crazy this season.
Insane.
Looking at, let's just say that all goes well and the Red Wings find a way into this postseason. Who from the Atlantic scares you, and who do you think the Wings would match up well against in the postseason?
So I think, the obvious answer is Tampa. Tampa's just an absolute wagon, but I don't know what it is. I think it might be the system Buffalo plays or has played in the past. The Wings have struggled against Buffalo. Even I think the first 2 games or 3 games they played against them this year were pretty early on. I don't think they've seen them since early December.
Wow.
And I think they took maybe one of the games, but I might even be wrong on that. I think Buffalo's, just for whatever reason, just really has their number. And so they obviously they've been on this run, but they scare me a bit. And I think in terms of a good matchup, not that it's a good matchup, but I think Detroit can play well against a team like Montreal. I thought they played well against them the other night. And I think a little bit ago they played them and beat them 4-0. So they've got some scary players, Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki.
Oh, yeah.
You can go down the list. They've got some guys, but I think both those teams are still in a pretty similar spot. So if there were a chance to play in Montreal, that would be not favorable, but I guess better than a Tampa.
Let's say for round 1, if you had to pick, you can play Carolina, Buffalo, or Tampa. Who do you think you got the best shot against?
So I saw that. I actually saw somebody put that the other day, because it was a Sens fan, because the Perron trade, it's a 4th, but it's a 3rd if the Wings win a round. And so somebody, the Sens fan, was like, okay, well, who can the Wings play and beat so we get a 3rd? And I think I'd actually, as much as I said I wouldn't want it, I think I'd actually go Tampa.
Okay.
I don't think they beat them at all. I don't have that type of, but they do not match up well against Carolina. Carolina plays a system that they play their man system, but Detroit's never. It's like if you could make a team in a lab that could beat the past any X number of year Red Wings, it's Carolina. They never, ever beat Carolina. And I just think, for whatever reason, this year Buffalo has had Detroit's number, whereas I think Detroit stole a game from Tampa early in the year, and even they played him a couple weeks ago after Kopp and Larkin had gone down, and they didn't. Obviously, I think it was a 4-1 loss, but Tampa had taken I think it was 2-1 like going into the last 10 minutes. Okay. So I think there's still they proved they can play with them. Again, I don't think it'd be a win, but if I had to pick one, I guess maybe it's Tampa.
Might as well swing for the fences, right?
Exactly. I think that'd be a really fun series, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Montreal to me is really interesting. Mac and I saw that with the Caps last season. That team, obviously, you mentioned Caulfield, Suzuki. That was right after they brought in Demidov. They're incredibly skilled, but I think what the book became very quickly on them was just hit them. And like we
Yep.
saw Tom Wilson drop, I don't know, maybe the hardest hit I've ever seen on Carrier. But,
Oh my God.
you know, once the Caps got really physical with them, and I mean, the Caps were slower. They had, you know, nowhere near as much skill moving through the zone and possessing the puck. But once they really started to hit the Habs, that's where I feel like they fell off their game. Do you think the Red Wings have like an Achilles heel like that this year, or top to bottom, you like what you're seeing? It's pretty well rounded.
Yeah, I think we saw it Saturday night. Boston, when Boston would put out their fourth line, which has like Kastelik and two other mutants on it. I couldn't even tell you. And Detroit would trot out their third pair, which I don't mind, of Johansson and Bernard Docker, but both those guys are like 6 foot, a little more slight, and they got bullied. And so I think in terms of that, it could be possible, but I also think Detroit does have some guys that can play like that. Marco Kasper had 8 hits the other night. Appleton can play that game if he wants to. So I do think they've got it, but I think they aren't necessarily quite there yet on a physical perspective. And I do think that come playoff time, that could bite them. But again, just if they get in, whatever.
Yeah, well said. So bouncing over from the Wings to Cookstark Management, so producer of the Athletes podcast. So what else do you do with Cookstark? Obviously, I mentioned at the beginning we've had Dave on the show. Spoiler alert, Lander's coming on in a week or two, so we'll have both of them on here. But yeah, just talk a little bit more about what you've been doing over there for those guys.
Yeah, so I produce Dave's podcast, obviously, which is great. It's a lot of fun. I listen to a ton of podcasts regardless, so it's nice to kind of get paid to listen to one every week. But outside of that, I'm also, I guess my title is creative director for Cookstark Management, and I basically kind of do all our social media graphics and any videos we do. I did a big video after the draft last summer, which was a lot of fun because I think we had 5 players get drafted, which is pretty cool, and I got to be there and shoot some content. So yeah, just any kind of type of creative stuff we put out on our socials, any graphics for players, stuff like that, I'm pumping out, which is again also just a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get to be around something that you love doing. So, I mean, like I mentioned, like that Penn State trip, that was technically a work trip for us. But, I mean, that was not a bad work trip by any means.
No,
so
not at all.
When you get to have your boots on the ground and go to the events and shoot stuff, it's just such an incredible vibe for sure.
Absolutely. No, it was, I even remember like when I was at the draft, I was shooting video, and then I was creating graphics like at the same time, because we had like, if a player would get drafted, then I had a template that then I'd go to my, so I think it was our top player that got drafted was Emma Gentry, and she went 11th overall, which was awesome, but she had kind of been projected in like the late second to early third range, and I remember Lander had gone over at the start of the second round to sit with her, and I was sitting at our table, and it was kind of the second round hit, and like a pick had gone by, and I went, you know what? I'm just gonna head over there. I'm just gonna head over there, and we'll just, you never know. And then like 2 picks later, she goes. I was like, oh,
wow,
thank God,
what a call.
thank God. Yeah. I was talking to Eleni, and we're like, yeah, we'll just head over there because just in case you could get some stuff, whatever. And yeah, and she went a couple picks later, and I was like, yeah, thank God, I was over there. And then I'm running over there, I'm getting all the shots, and then I have to run back to the table and get the graphics done. But it's a blast. It's so much fun to do, and getting the opportunities like that. So it's it's a great time.
What's that draft experience like? I know, Mac, you went to the NHL draft a couple times, right?
Just 2011. When
Just
I
2011?
was a runner. I was 13 or 14 years old or something.
Yeah. So what are the P-Dub draft vibes like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would have been the 3rd ever draft last year. But it was pretty cool. It was in Ottawa. And I mean, I thought they did it pretty well. I thought they kind of glammed everything up, and it wasn't kind of just a run of like on the fly kind of production. I thought they were pretty well handled, and it was a lot of fun. It was like I got to be on the draft floor, which I never done, and I'm sitting there, and like Marie-Philippe Poulin was walking by, and I'm like, oh my God, like you're a Canadian hero. And then like Matthew Nyes was there. His girlfriend got drafted, I actually think 1 pick ahead of Gentry, and just like sitting in this room, and there's all these amazing stars in the women's game and even from the men's game too. And it was just it was a pretty surreal moment for me. I hadn't kind of done anything to that level in terms of like my career and doing stuff like that. So it was pretty damn cool. And they put on a good show. It was a lot of fun to be there.
Nice. It sounds like a great time, man.
Oh yeah.
Going back to the NHL real quick, let's go over to the Western Conference for a second. I'd love to just get your opinions on stuff because it is so cracked out over there. Like the East is just its usual typical, arms race between the Atlantic and the Metro. But what are your opinions on the Pacific deciding to take this year off?
Yeah, it's tough to watch. It is tough to watch, especially you guys would be just in the same boat, if not more, that you guys, the Caps would be in a divisional spot.
Yes.
If they were in the Pacific. And they might finish 4 spots out with still a good number, like not a bad points pace. And it's just insane to like look at that and go like, we could be running away with this division and we're fighting for our lives. It's a tough watch, but I mean, I like Anaheim. I think they put a bit of a run and gun, but like I watched some play. I was watching the third of the Anaheim Buffalo game the other night, and it was just like the most back and forth, like no defense, just run and gun, and so they're a fun team to watch when they get going. So, yeah.
Can you imagine that's our cup finals here, Anaheim and Buffalo?
Oh my god!
I'm all in on that. That's electric. That
Every
was a
game
fun
is 6-5,
game.
6-7, something like that.
I think it was like 4-2 Anaheim at the start of the third, and then Buffalo scored like 3 goals in the first 10 minutes to take the lead, and then Anaheim scored like a minute and a half left and then won in overtime. And it was just like I texted my buddy who's a Sabres fan. I'm like, the Sabres may never lose again when they went up. And then like I text everyone, I'm like, I'm sorry, got caught up in the moment there. That's my bad.
Oh, that's wild. Gun to your head, what's your Stanley Cup final prediction? And then I have to ask you for a winner too.
Yeah. Every year before the year starts, I always make like a $5 bet.
Right.
Just on who I got. So every year I think the past 3 years I had taken Dallas. I always love how they're built. I think like in terms of young guys, vets, goalie, star D man. Yeah. I actually took Carolina this year just on odds, and I'm still not positive on them. I like how they play, but I'm not super confident. I had to pick a final. The Lightning just got Corey Perry back, so
that's
maybe
right.
they're gonna make. I'd probably go Tampa, and then out of the West, you know what? I'll go Dallas.
Okay.
Little Mickey Mouse rematch.
That's right.
Yeah. What was that? Yeah, that was the first COVID year.
That was the bubble bowl. Right?
That was a canceled or like halfway through the season. And then they picked it up, or was it the following
That was the second one, I think, because the Bubble Bowl was Montreal, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I saw a stupid stat that it was like in the last 6 Stanley Cup finals, there's been 7 Atlantic teams.
Yeah,
which is insane. Yeah. But yeah, that would be a rematch because there's that video. I think it's like Jamie Benn's the last one in the locker room there after that finals.
Mm-hmm.
But Corey, Stanley Cup finals of a Corey Perry Bowl would be pretty good. So I'll go with that, and I'll take Tampa. I'm a big Tampa guy. I've always loved, like, I am as much as I hate having to watch the Wings play them 4 times a year, I think that team is incredible top to bottom. I think Breezebaugh is an awesome GM. I think John Cooper is a genius. I think he's the best coach in the NHL, and I'd have to go with them. I think they're a pretty resilient group, and I think they get it done.
Nice. Now the most important question to everyone on Twitter: how far will the Edmonton Oilers go in this postseason?
Are they? I'd say they'd miss the playoffs, but nobody's going to take it from them.
No, the Kings already gave up on that.
You know what? So I'm not. I don't know if people are going to like this. I'm not a huge fan of how Edmonton's built their teams. I haven't been for a while. I don't think I think it's the same as the Leafs model that's been done over the years, that they top load their forwards and then they go, okay, we don't need anything else.
Yeah.
But I've also thought that the last 2 years and they made the finals. So
true. That's a good point.
I will bet against them, and they'll probably prove me wrong again because they have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
I just can't see them getting back to a third this year. I think with the amount of hockey that they've played, like you look how just beat to shit Florida is.
Oh my
and,
God.
you know, they just won one more game than Edmonton. That's all they did.
Yeah,
they both have
no,
played the same
absolutely.
amount of hockey. But yeah, I think it's just going to be really tough for them to get all the way back.
Yeah, I do too. But again, yeah, I didn't think they'd do anything last year. And
True.
Yeah, me neither.
So,
Right.
Very
yeah,
true.
Yeah.
Mac, any other questions before we wrap up here?
I think that's good. Yeah, it was a fun interview. I am pulling for your Wings. I think
likewise.
We've said it before. I'll say it again. Hockey's more fun when the Wings are
Yes.
good team and in the playoffs. So
Absolutely. Hey, and
Yeah.
shout out Cole Hudson. That kid
Right.
rocks.
Oh, yeah.
I've watched a couple of the
Hell yeah.
games since he's come in. Man, is he fun. That's going to be a
Stud,
fun one.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's neat how he's so similar and different to Lane at the same time.
Yeah, they've got the same kind of like, bit of the same skating style and kind of like shiftiness, but
Yeah.
it does feel like Cole's a little more stable. It's probably not the
Yeah.
right word, but a little more just kind of not hang back, but just kind of less kind of flashy and jumpy. Not that that's a bad thing on Lane, because Lane makes it work and he's also just awesome to watch. But yeah, I think Cole Hudson rocks. I think that kid's a lot of fun, and he's gonna be
Fingers
fun for a
crossed.
while.
Hopefully
Yep.
he's in DC for a very long time. So
Absolutely.
please.
yeah, it's on Chris Patrick to make sure that happens for sure.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for hopping on. Always a pleasure. And like we said, we'll be rooting for the Wings the rest of the way.
Appreciate it, guys. Fingers crossed.
Big thanks to Ryan for jumping on with us. Always a blast chatting with him. Had a great time with him at Penn State, just chatting puck and getting to know each other. And, hopefully the Wings make a push there to be in the postseason. I think we all want to see that, despite the fact that you and I apparently have pissed off Red Wings fans for, 3 consecutive seasons now?
I guess so, man.
But let's go ahead and move on to the team in red that everyone really cares about that's totally going to go to the playoffs, the Washington Capitals. So, it's been kind of a crazy week. So Ovi gets to 1,000 goals in his career. If you factor in playoffs and regular season, that's pretty cool. Just another Ovi milestone to do it. I like how he kind of kept this one quiet. It wasn't really like a chase like everything else was. And it was just sort of like, oh, open your phone next day, another Ovi record. So,
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's super cool, but every time that this one has been mentioned leading up to it, and every time someone says what you just said, where it's like, if you combine regular season and playoff goals,
right.
You want to know what I say out loud every time someone says that? I go, yeah, but nobody does.
Correct.
We've never combined,
because then the goal record would never have gotten
none
broken.
of that makes any sense. I get that. I don't know. To me, obviously, it's cool, it's impressive, but I think it's just kind of one of those cherry pick stats. It's like, what? All right, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like if you factor in the fact that Wayne Gretzky also has WHA goals that aren't NHL goals.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's crazy. But, kind of been up and down for the Caps as of late. I really like what we've seen out of Cole Hudson. That's been a debut. That's been awesome to see. Him having, I saw him getting some flack for having his first goal be an empty net goal. And I'm like, who cares?
Wasn't Leno's too?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like
awesome.
they don't
I love
ask
it.
how,
Okay.
they ask how many. Get over yourself. It's not that big of a deal. I think the funniest part about that play is obviously, Mikey's pointing to him, completely taking himself out of the play, taking his hand off his stick, pointing to the net, be like, shoot, kid. But then the fact that Hudson looks off Ovechkin with a wide open net and just goes, okay. I think it's incredible. I mean, I would have done everything in my power to get Ovi that puck. I'm not criticizing Cole Hudson at all, but I'm more worried about what Ovi would say to me after something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. No, yeah, he's been awesome to watch. And I mean, it's cool. Obviously, we're all still kind of recovering from the shock of losing Carlson, franchise defenseman. But it's pretty cool to basically immediately see who is going to be taking over that role. And I mean, barring anything crazy happening, this guy's gonna be a Capital for at least a decade, probably.
I would hope so,
maybe
man.
longer. Who knows? But
I would really hope that, obviously him and Leno are on these ELC deals. I would hope they lock them up ASAP.
I would think they're probably the number 1 and number 2 pieces that they're looking to build around. So
yeah, I think it's, I think you make a great point. It's exciting to see what the shape of the franchise is going to look like. And we talked about, a little bit about this last week and everything, and that's fantastic. But, looking at what this team could look like with Little Pro coming, with Chris Stahl coming, maybe with a guy like Lyndon Lankovic, provided he gets healthy. So, Parasak still well within the product system as well. So, really looking forward to that. So, big things coming for the Caps. I hope they finish strong. Part of me really wishes they would just go for the better draft pick, but I also do like seeing what looks like to be another retool somehow from them on the fly. And I think it really sets up a very interesting free agency for this team this year.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I think, obviously we've talked about it before too, but it's just one of those things where even if I know it's probably in our best interest to lose more and get a better pick, I can't not watch every night and be like, okay, but if we won every game and then you just, when you're a fan,
the problem is, I think it was Harry said it in the group chat like earlier this week. He was like, the problem is everyone in the East that needs to lose is still winning right now.
They all keep winning. It's actually ridiculous.
Yeah. I also think the crazy thing is the Caps still have like 2 back-to-backs before their season's over somehow because the scheduling people are so freaking drunk. But that's been interesting. Do you have anything else about the Caps before we wrap up here?
I think that's good enough.
Are we doing a trivia this week, or are we letting the people off early?
There's a lot of hockey. Let's go watch.
Well said. Well, guys, make sure you're dialed into not only the NHL this week, but NCAA tournament starts this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's going to be awesome. Some of those games start during the day, too, which is going to be really, really cool. So you've got a nice little appetizer before those nighttime March Madness games start.
And we got MLB opening day this week as well. I'll be
Go O's.
Yep, go O's on. I'll be
Go O's. Go Green. Big weekend for Sparty, so hopefully they get it done.
I'll be at Brewers opening day on Thursday.
Nice. Could you do me a favor when you're there? I've heard some of the beer has been like tampered with. Could you just like inspect a couple of those to make sure they're?
I'll check them out.
Right,
yeah,
cool.
I'll make sure everything's.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
But make sure you guys are liked and subscribed to everything. We've got some awesome guests coming for you guys on the run to 300 here, and we will catch you in the next episode.